People often say to me, Rich, are there any games you're really looking forward to playing? And please put that gun down. And I say to those people, The Last of Us Part 2, obviously. The sequel to one of my favourite modern games. And not until you finish watching my video. Welcome to That Gaming Show. People talk about The Last of Us as the pinnacle of gaming perfection. I, however, think it comes pretty close to perfection. I don't want to give Naughty Dog a bigger ego than they may already have. We get it, we love your games, and I own like all of them. Also, complete perfection is subjective anyway. Wait, you can pet the dog? It's perfect! Just go buy it now! Anyway, I love The Last of Us, a truly fantastic game, and when they announced The Last of Us Part 2, I was elated, which means really happy. And now that it's finally here, I feel like I need to talk to you about it. I am, however, only like 8 hours into the game, so it's going to be mainly first impressions. And because I don't have anyone else here in the room with me, I shall pretend to be you, the viewer, and ask the question, what is The Last of Us Part 2, and should you play it? So I've realised this is going to be really hard to talk about without spoiling it for people, but I'm going to try my best. Okay, so The Last of Us Part 2 is all about... nope, can't say that. But unlike the first game, which was set all around our main protagonist Joel, it's Ellie's turn as she sets out on a quest to... Nope, can't talk about that either. You will sadly just have to take my word for it that this story is really compelling. You already know you're in for a crazy emotional ride with a story that will knock your socks off. Or whatever you may be wearing at the time. Make no mistake, Ellie is a badass and she's often cool, calm and confident, but also a tad standoffish. Almost a bit like Joel was in the first game. But she's a really interesting character, and now we get to explore who she has become 4 years after the events of the first game. What I can't talk about in terms of story, I can talk about in terms of what this game does really well. World building. That phrase could mean a bunch of different things, but this time I mean immersing the player into this world with its characters, environments and script writing. It's all about the atmosphere that this game creates. It's about these interestingly complex characters, and it's about them interacting with the environment and actually engaging with each other.
I bet I could build him. I like you. I want it in writing.
Naughty Dog always does this well to help draw the player in. Mix that with brilliant sound design, you'll completely forget about the world around you as you travel around the abandoned depths of Seattle, from its open locations, dark underground, and vast array of buildings to explore. And that word there I think is really key. Exploration. It's not always a linear game, which means you also get a chance to find things, like bits of materials, drugs, and bolts you can use to craft your weapons, upgrade your stats, and improve your guns. I would thoroughly recommend you search everywhere high and low, and just take your time with it. It's almost like a collectathon, which is unsurprising from the creators of Jak and Daxter and Crash Bandicoot. It's in their very fibre. I'll be honest, you'll spend a lot of your time searching around any nook and cranny you can to find those crafty materials. There's also little puzzles to figure out. They're not really complicated, like how do we power up this small building, and also how do we climb this wall. There's also collectibles hidden behind locked doors or safes, which if you use the environment and your attention to detail, you can get through and then you're rewarded with more materials. The main story can wait. Just grab everything you can because you never know when you might need those items when things go south. And things can go bad in a very short space of time. But also, looking around adds to the story in these characters. As you look around, they interact with the elements here and there, and you get an in-depth view into them as people and their relationships. I don't care about these characters, you care about these characters, shut up. Also, have you seen this game? The visuals are outstanding, if you haven't already noticed yet. The lighting effects, the character models all look fantastic, and it's the detailing that adds to this game, with its clothes and buildings, and even a few references thrown in there as well. I see you Uncharted 2. And this brings me nicely to gameplay, and this is where the game shines for me. Fans of the original will be pleased to know this game hasn't changed that much, but they have improved on some things here and there. It's subtle, but it's a welcome addition. Ellie controls less like a tank than Joel did, combat is solid as before, but also not perfect enough that you think you're this invincible character that takes down infected with no problem. There will be moments of panic and you can't just dodge out of the way. You need to use your items and weapons and think your way out of a situation. However, you will also spend a majority of this game doing the duck walk. Like, have you ever tried doing that in real life? It hurts. Go on, try it. Oh wait. Hurts, right? One thing I like about this game as well is its minimalistic HUD, meaning only a small portion of the screen is filled with stats. Also, I still like the fact that you have to stop, swing your backpack around, and rummage through to craft materials or check your items. Almost like you would do if you were really surviving this. Once again, sneaking around trying to figure out pathways to take down the evil infected, or the second most evil thing in this game, humankind, is always an intense moment to be had, and especially pleasing when it goes well. One thing I do like about this game as well is that when you're sneaking around, the game will raise the intensity of this hum noise, and this signifies that you're being spotted, so you need to move quickly. Also, just like the first game, Ellie has developed the hearing sense of a bat, which gives you the option to see through walls so you can plan how you're going to take down the bad guys. The lack of music as always throughout this game had me on the edge of my seat and in constant need of clean underwear when a jump scare got me. Oh my god. Do not be fooled if anyone tells you that this game isn't scary. It's not always scary, but my god, it knows how to make you super nervous. Because rather than using music, it's using sounds. And I'd compare it to the wildly successful Chernobyl, one of my favourite TV shows of all time. It works really well in this setting to give you those moments and events that will stick with you when you're asleep. Honestly, I don't have any negatives with this game. I've heard people are annoyed with the story, but I haven't found an issue with it, even with my limited time playing this game. I think ultimately it's a different game. It's not The Last of Us Part 1, it's The Last of Us Part 2. It's got different characters and a different vibe. But in my opinion, it's certainly not lesser than its predecessor. It's just doing something different. Only thing I would say is you need to have played the first game in order to play this one. Sometimes you can get away with sequels, but sadly not here. You just won't have as much emotional connection to it. So if you are a fan of the original, I think you will find stuff to love about this game. But as I said before, it's different from the first one. The story is brilliant, the visuals are some of the best I've seen for the PS4, especially this late into the console's life cycle, and the gameplay as always keeps me wanting to play more. The Last of Us Part 2. It's a game you should be playing. So what do you think of my opinions? Do you have opinions of your own? Then please let me know in the comments section below. If you do have any questions about this game, feel free to ask. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this coming out very soon. Either way, thank you very much for watching. My name is Rich, and I'll see you in the next video. Ta-ra! Hey, before you go, make sure you check out these other videos. I've done a bunch of other Should You Play reviews. I've also got a series called Max Difficulty, where I try out games in their hardest difficulty. I tried out Last of Us 1, so make sure you go check that video out. Are we good? Everyone's gone? Okay, bye!